Now, I must say, I've played many, many games during the course of my life, but few games have really gotten my attention and hours of my life as much as the Metal Gear Solid series of games. Now, Metal Gear by Hideo Kojima, who works for Konami, is, in my opinion, and I know I might get some flack from this, the best series of games ever made. Now, I say this because I had actually taken a break from video gaming for quite a while. I had something that some of you might call a life for a while. And then one day was coaxed into playing Metal Gear Solid 1 for the original PlayStation by one of my friends who was sort of trying to get me back into the gaming world. So I reluctantly picked up the controller and sort of got myself trudging through the first few levels of Metal Gear Solid and was just sucked in. The Metal Gear series has really blown up. Now, Metal Gear was released initially for the NES, and from then on, really just spanned onto all the other platforms. Now, Metal Gear really and truly is one of those games that sticks with you, and does a little bit more than most games, because Hideo Kojima really here tries to sort of communicate to the gamer and sort of break that fourth wall. Rather than simply having you, go through different levels and beat certain objectives, he actually, in some way, interacts with the gamer directly. So I think what many of you might remember is a scene in Metal Gear Solid 1 where you were fighting Psycho Mantis. And Psycho Mantis was one of the boss characters, and at one point he asks you to put down your controller so he can show his incredible powers. And he would tell you, watch this, and your controller would jump around. Obviously they were using the rumble feature. But then even more impressively, he would tell you what type of player you were. Were you a sneaky player? Were you a careful player? And then from there, say, okay, I'm gonna read your mind now, and actually talk about different Konami games that you had played in the past based on the fact that the PlayStation was reading your memory card, and that would give him the answers to knowing what games you had played. So really and truly, that's one of those examples of just the fourth wall really being broken. And ultimately, if you remember, to beat that boss, you needed to actually unplug your controller from the controller port and stick it in another one, because he could read your mind, which really meant he was reading all of your movements in that controller. So after, calling your friends for help during the game, you eventually realize that the only way to defeat him is to actually unplug the controller and go in another port. Now that really was incredible, because never had a game really sort of made the player stop and physically look in the world around them and really find the answer that way. And for that, kudos.